at some point, okay? So again, let's welcome to the stage, Brian J.
Hold on, that's not Brian.
That's not Brian. Did you say it's Brian?
That's not Brian.
It's not Brian.
Is that Luigi?
What did you do?
This is some sort of ancient.
That's James Bryan.
To my dearest son, I want to sit and write you a letter. Been thinking of all the times perhaps I could have done better, with all the ways and maybe many mistakes regrettable, all this pain. I wish things were just reduced to forgettable. Mom is good, the dog is fine. I'd wish you'd come home for a visit. Why not come for lunch or something, just for a minute? I admit it, I get it. You got to do life independently. But the struggle you had for so many years right in front of me, were you asking, were you reaching out? Was I even listening? Can't believe I was so unprepared for this, so embarrassing. Things are slow since you'd have gone. The house is so quiet now. Sister's good, she's acting strong, but misses you, thinking how as his sister she maybe could have done a little bit differently. Said, honey, listen, it's nothing to do with you, honestly. And your brother's a man. He's got to find his own way. And as a Christian family, of course, it hurts to hear that he's gay. Either way, you are his pumpkin. Ain't nothing going to be changing that. I hope you know we love you, son, and we're wanting you back. I can't explain how I'm feeling, but I can't deny that I love you. I promise I'm always for you, no matter what you be going through. And what hurts me the most in all of this is that you think you're alone. I've been your dad forever. Now you don't want to come home? I understand that you might be afraid. It's not an easy question. Can I be Christian and gay? All of your life, you've been raised with certain beliefs, and now you struggle with temptations for certain reliefs. And everybody these days are telling you it's okay. The line has been drawn, and they're yelling for you to cross over. But when you do, it doesn't feel right. It's all you want, but only one night. Like Dr. Jekyll and his enemy Hyde, the battle of good, the battle of evil inside. I won't pretend to have the answer to every one of your struggles, but being enslaved to desires will only lead you to trouble, whether money, men, or women, or status symbol, or double. There's a way that seems right to man, but it leads to death. All too often, we see these people grow up and rise and fall, seeking after pleasures, believing what they feel is all they got, and that there's hardly an excuse to resist. Yet when they're walking down the alleys of shadows and bliss, they look deep within and up at the sky overhead. The world has told them this is living, but they feeling dead. Time and time again, I see this resurrection, but the only thing from death to life I see is self-condemnation. Fighting for freedom, they say this thing is for social justice. Civilization evolved, and now they be gods among us. They make all the rules and bend all the knees to resist. The only problem with this freedom doesn't exist. The delusion to the world's conclusion that you and I are too different, that we can't be a family and we might as well kill it. The difference is what separates and leads us to hate one another. And now for what? Because one's straight and one's gay? Come on, now. Are we oppressors and killers and thugs because disagreement fundamentally means we can't love? Who made these rules? Who drew these lines? All of this bullshit. I hate what hate is doing, and I will never support it. Don't buy these lies. Don't sell your soul and become a victim. I know you're struggling with a problem and looking for freedom. We all are. We all broken. We all need the Creator. You don't believe that? It's okay, but that don't make me a hater. You're a man. I'm a man. We both bleed the same color. Despite our differences, God made us all in fear, love, and wonder. This simple message I write to you that I love. Written by Dad. Signed by your Father above. To my dearest Dad, this is what I'd want you to say. if you were ever to try and write me up a letter someday, but it might be a while, so I went and wrote it out on your behalf. Sincerely, your son, the wandering sheep of the fam. I wrote that for a friend of mine years ago when his son came out of the closet. Now, my friend is not a pastor, but he is a director of an organization down in Cuba that oversees and manages about 500 plus chaplains. You know what a chaplain is? Chaplain is a pastor who specifically goes and works in prisons. Now, in Cuba, that's a tough job, right? This guy, what do you say? Like the standard story down in Cuba, former alcoholic, former idolater, witchcraft, former adulterer, women all over the place. Jesus gets a hold of him, now he's a pastor, right? So now his family goes through this, and it's just pain for everybody. Now, we as Christians, we're really good at giving pat answers for really tough questions. He's gay because, his father rejected him. Or he rejected his father. Well, might be true for a large percentage of the people who have this preference, but that's not the case for everybody. In fact, with my friend here, he is in love with his son. And even though his son has left and even moved to a different country to live in this lifestyle, he, to this day, says, my father is my hero. So what do we do there? Or Christians will go, hey, he's this way because he was sexually molested when he was a kid. Which, for an unfortunately large percentage of the people who have this preference, that is true. But not for everybody. My friend, basically, in order to be a leader in Cuba, you have to be perfect. Because you're under the microscope. You slip up morally in public and you're out. So the chances of him having this kind of weird stuff going on in his house, not likely. Could have happened somewhere, somehow, with somebody else, but that's not a factor that anybody knows about right now, so not the case. Or, he's gay because he chose to be gay. Really? Would anybody choose to be gay, even though it's kind of the in thing to do right now, especially not in Cuba? Down there, until just recently, you could have been arrested for being of the homosexual persuasion. You had to keep it a secret. We're going through Ask Anything, tough series. One of the questions came up is, can I be gay? Is it okay to be gay and Christian? That is a loaded question. And I'm actually not going to give you the answer. I'm not even going to tell you what to think. What I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to just give you some information. That's all tonight is, just information and some tools for you to come up with your own conclusion. Sound fair? Now, before I do, though, I want to set up some ground rules here just to make sure that we're all on the same page. So first one is, again, I'm only sharing information. That's it. And I also wanted to make it a fair playing game, because often Christians come up with this like, and they say this, and because they're Christians, it's just because you're Christian, right? It's called confirmation bias. So all of the information that I've come up is publicly available online. I have all the footnotes available. If you want it, I will give it to you, especially if you're asking for a friend, because I know if you ask, you're asking for a friend. It's okay. This is 0 Christian references, 0 pro-family articles. This is all information given out by the medical community as well as the LGBTQ community and Pride Institute. This is all them. This is their own people giving these information, just so you know, okay? Some bias. Number 2, whether you have this, and you think this is a struggle or not, maybe you fully accept it, whatever it is, I need you to know that I love you. This is not an attack in any way, shape, or form. And for the rest of the Christians here, that's got to be the same for you as well. We do not attack people because we're different. That's not how we roll. That's not what Jesus did, okay? So I need you to know that this is not an attack. Number 3, this is just going to be a general assumption that we're all adults here or close to, and so we can have a discussion. And if you disagree with me, are we mature enough to still be friends afterwards? I can disagree with you and love you. Can you disagree with me and love me? Cool. And I lay that out there because the other night I shared this in front of some other youth, and I shared part 2 of this series with them, the softer part, and still had 3 people walk out. It's a heavy topic. So I just want to say, listen, if you disagree, it's totally okay. You're still in the right place. We still love you. We still want you here. We're still in this together, okay? And then finally, number 4, by default, me being on stage and being a youth leader, I come with authority. So you're going to automatically think that I am correct just because I'm on stage. I would like you to not think that. Just because I'm up here doesn't mean I'm right. I want to challenge you to use your brains and actually fact check, because we've got a major problem in culture today where just because someone's a professional, they're on TV, or they got a big Twitter account, that they must be right. That leads to a lot of problems, because now people are going to tell you what to think. Maybe that's not you. Maybe it is you. Whatever it is, don't take me at face value. Please fact check. And again, I have all the footnotes. And again, none of them are Christian. You can check it all out yourself. Sound fair? Yep. Cool? All right, let's begin. I want to give you some tools that you can use. These are actually kind of categories that we as a nation put behaviors into so that we can survive and actually flourish as an awesome country. So we've got 4 categories. I want you to try and remember them as good as you can. When it comes to behaviors, we can either, number 1, prohibit it, meaning, no, you can't do it, it's illegal, like murder, right? And rape and bank robberies and all these things. And why would these be illegal? Because they hurt people. Just kind of a given. So that's category number 1, prohibit. Number 2 is we can permit it, meaning you're allowed to do it as long as it's over there and you don't hurt anybody else. Don't look at me while you do it. Right? So this would be like smoking and drinking. They're permitted, but they're just like, right? You don't see Miss America or Miss Canada like, you need a 2-4 tonight. You don't see those. Right? It's like, do it on your own time. So we can prohibit it or we can permit it. Number 3 is we can protect it. These are things that we want people to really embrace because it equips humanity. For example, the freedom of speech, the freedom of mobility, the freedom of human rights, all these types of things, right? Things that are eroding here in Canada, right? These are things that we want to protect, because if we don't protect them, then we become a communist nation because they don't value these things. So there's a bunch of those. And then finally, we can promote. This is number 4. We can promote these things because we want people to do it. For example, did you know that the government gives you tax benefits for being married? Did you know that? They give you tax benefits for actually being legally married. Why? Because they want to promote you to get married. And why would they do that? Because healthy marriages make healthy kids, and healthy kids grow up into healthy adults, and healthy adults make a strong nation. That's why the government should and is behind marriage. So those are the 4 categories. You can prohibit it, you can permit it, you can protect it, and you can promote it. So those are the 4 categories, tools for you to now use and determine what we should do with this behavior, okay? I'm talking about the homosexual behavior, same-sex intercourse, not the preference, not the tendencies, not the struggles, not the fantasies, because that's completely different, okay? Thoughts are not dangerous until they become behaviors. So I'm now going to share with you some information regarding the behavior of the homosexual lifestyle, and then you guys can make your own decision which category it should go into. Does that make sense so far? Can somebody cough just to make sure you're all alive? Good. Beautiful. I think someone threw up. I like to see that. It's a heavy topic, but it's okay for us to laugh, right? Now, since the 90s, the late 90s, this has been heavily situated in category number 4. We're promoting it hardcore ever since the late 90s. In fact, there was an activist book written that was basically the hand field guide for homosexual activists called Behind the Ball: How America Will Conquer Its Fear and Hatred of the Gay in the 90s. It's actually a book. You can go out and buy it. It's their field manual of how they were going to get mainstream everything on board with the LGBTQ. You can buy it for $300. It's a collectible now. It's a big book. And so it lines out how they did it, because before the 90s, it was still pretty rigid, no, gays are not allowed in here, right? Afterwards, it completely flipped. And when asking one of the leaders, the head activists, how did you guys do it? He basically said, we sold it like cereal. We marketed it. We put it in music. We put it on billboards. We put celebrities in it. It was in the movies. And then we condemned everybody who wasn't pro this ideology. And it worked. It was marketing, just straight up marketing. Now, if you know who I am actually a marketer. It's what I do for a living. It's how I afford my beautiful wife. Right? So I gotta work really hard. So it's what I do. Now, as a marketer, I might be able to see this stuff more easily than you can, because this is just what I do all day long. And one of the tools that we use is called memes. Do you know what a meme is?
Yes.
We love memes. It's a picture with a statement underneath. And sometimes they're hilarious. Sometimes they're really sad. Have you ever seen one about Trudeau lately? It's kind of like a mix of both, right? And memes, they're incredibly powerful. And they're used to invoke emotion, which then leads to behaviors. In my world, it's to lead to sales, right? In politics, it's to lead to votes. Memes, incredibly powerful. And this is a meme that you have seen or heard of very consistently, and especially if you've gone into a bank, TD, CIBC, Scotiabank, BMO, all these guys, they have this campaign that's out there right now where you've got this nice-looking same-sex couple holding hands, hugging, staring off into a sunset. Maybe there's kids around. It's really happy. It's really peaceful. And there's a rainbow banner that says, "Love is love." Has anyone seen that before? Or anything like it? A version of it? Super powerful. Because it's true. Love is love. How do you fight that? You can't fight that. If you try to fight that, what's it look like? So you're saying that these people can't love each other? Who are you to say that this guy cannot be happily married to this other guy? Who are you? Who are you to decide what two consenting adults do behind a bedroom door? Why do you care? Oh, you're just a homophobe. Oh, you just hate people. If you don't promote love, you're a hater. It's powerful. And so most of us, we just back out, like, okay, I'm sorry, right? But memes, when weighed against information or evidence or facts, they change. So I'm now going to give you the information that's available online, and again, zero Christian resources. This is all medical resources out there available to you, as well as through the LGBTQ community. Their own people, their own spokesperson people are the ones listing this online, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. If you haven't heard these before, it's going to be quite heavy, so please don't pass out on me, okay? According to the CDC is the Center of Disease Control. These are the guys that have been pumping out these vaccines for the past 300 years. And they're doing so because they want us to live. That's why they're doing that, whether you agree or not. That's the intention. So the CDC, these are the guys the governments follow, okay? According to the CDC, more than 82% of all known sexually transmitted AIDS cases in 2006 were the result of male-to-male sexual contact. AIDS is an autoimmune disease where basically you can't heal yourself. You die of a common cold. It's incurable. There's no cure. There's just death, okay? 82% of all known AIDS cases. 50,000 new cases of HIV/AIDS in the U.S. happen every year. 50,000. That's the equivalent of 25 9/11s every year. AIDS cases. 78% of all these cases are a direct result of male-to-male sexual contact. 30%, that is 1 out of every 3 20-year-old homosexual males will have HIV/AIDS or will be dead by 30 years old. They make up for 60% of all syphilis cases. They are 20 times more likely to get anal cancer. All of this is really shocking when you come to know that male-to-male sexual contact, LGBTQ, like all that same-sex intercourse, makes up only 2% of the population on any given year. 2% of the population controls that percentage of all these cases. 43% of white homosexual males have had sex with 500 plus partners in their lifetime. 28% of them with 1,000 plus partners. That's why it spreads as fast as it does. Compared to 17% of men and 10% of women who have more than 1%. These would be heterosexuals. So 43 versus 17% and versus 10%. 35% of female homosexuals abused alcohol in the last 30 days. 35%, compared to 5% of heteros. According to the LGBTQ Pride Institute, 45% of homosexual men have abused alcohol versus 15% of the general population. 51% of homosexual men abuse drugs versus 7% of the general population. The depression, the suicidal thoughts, the self-injury, the relationship, divorce, all of it's astronomical. And I can give you more, but I think you get the point. And again, this is not an attack, okay? This is just information that's available, given to us by the medical community and the LGBTQ community. And nor is this information suggesting that people who have this preference should not be able to love other people. Nor is it saying should they never ever get into another relationship again, like they can't just be with it. No, it's not what it's saying. This information is strictly for us to weigh, is a same-sex intercourse active lifestyle safe and healthy as suggested by the memes? That's all this information is for. To give you a little bit of a comparison, smoking, on average, reduces lifespan by 7 years. And you buy a cigarette carton and it's got pictures and warnings and, it's the end of the world. Okay? Ain't good. We don't want people to smoke. Average is 7 years reduced. According to the CDC, an active homosexual lifestyle reduces lifespan by 8 to 20 years. So my question for you is, how come we haven't been told any of this? Another question is, if we haven't been told any of this, what else have we not been told? I'm trying to get you to think critically here. I'm going to give you one more statistic, one more thought, and then I'm going to end. Okay? One of the main slogans of the LGBTQ community, which you'll face if you ever get into an argument about this, is that they were born this way and they can never, ever, ever change. So stop trying. They can never change. That's a major slogan. A US-based study done by Neil Whitehead. He is a scientist that has worked for the New Zealand government for 24 years. He's worked with the UN. He's no dummy. He conducted a study of 10,800 SSA youth. That's same-sex attracted youth. 10,800. And this is not bisexual. This is guys like guys, girls like girls exclusive. 10,800. Aged between 16 and 22. In 1 year. So when these kids turned 17, and I'm saying no intervention, no therapy, just 365 days of time. That's it. when they hit 17, 61% of the males who were male attracted only flipped and became attracted to women. For girls, 85% of them went from women only to men attraction in 1 year with no intervention, no therapy. Continuing the study, those from 17 to 22, those who remained, 75% of them switched. No therapy, no intervention. How come you never hear about this? Why the silence? Why the war? What are we fighting about? According to these studies, a homosexual is 25 times more likely to change their sexual preferences naturally than a heterosexual is to develop homosexual preferences. In fact, today, there are more ex-gays than there are gays. And this does not include therapy. Yet when you read the articles and you watch the videos and you listen to the people, it's like, they'll never change. In fact, they've set up society in a way which is really interesting, where with the APA, the Association of Psychiatrists of America, this was something that was treatable. If somebody wanted to change, they could go and see a psychiatrist and get it done. Since the 90s, it's been illegal in California. It's now, I think, illegal in Canada as of a couple of years ago. Meaning, if you had this preference and you didn't want it, you could not legally seek help to get help. If you wanted, you couldn't, because the doctor would lose his practice. Why the intimidation? Now, I've given you information. That's it. That's all it is. Now it's up to you to decide which category you think it would be most appropriately placed. Category number 1, should same-sex interactions be prohibited because it hurts people? Should it be permitted as long as they don't hurt other people? Should it be protected because it equips humans? Or should it be promoted because we want everybody to do it? You have the information, you now get to decide. Now, this, that's a heavy bag to hold. And I'm not going to leave you with that. So where do we go from here? There's something really unique about Christianity in the sense that if you do it right, it actually works. If you do it wrong, people hate you for it, hate God for it. But if you do it right, people are like, oh, no, I totally get that. And one of the fundamental ideas of Christianity is that at some point in history, humanity was like a bag of dishes that was tossed down the staircase. What would happen if a bag of dishes was tossed down the staircase? Can someone give me a sound effect? Right? Oh my goodness! Now you take the bag of dishes and you reach in and you pull out 2. Question, are the dishes broken? Yes. Question number 2, are the dishes broken in the exact same places? No. That's humanity. We're all broken in different places. This is simply something that they struggle with if they think it's a struggle. Pornography is something that everybody struggles with, straight or gay. Idolatry, name it. The list goes on. And at the end of the day, Jesus basically says, you know what, I'll take you. I'll take you. Broken? Crack? Sure, I'll take it. Doesn't matter. Gay? All right, sure. All right, I'll take it. Yeah. Addicted to porn? Oh, yeah, I'll totally take it. Yeah. You feel the incessant urge to kill people and eat their faces? Sure, I'll take you too, but we're really going to need to work on that. That's Jesus. That's the heart of God. So, for those of you who are confused about this, curious about this, what do Christians really believe? What does God really believe about this thing? The question of, is it okay for me to be gay and Christian? There's so many facets to that. Today was really just talking about the physical aspect. Is it safe for human beings? It's now up to you to decide. Next week, or at a time in the near future, we're going to be going over part 2, which is basically, can I be gay and Christian? Does that work? Will God still love me? Will I still get into heaven? It's another very deep question, which we're going to be going over next week. So if you want to get a hold of that, please make sure you stay alive until then and make your way out. And you know what? I'm going to pray for you guys because tonight's an awesome night. And we're going to make sure you go home feeling good about life. Right? If you have any questions, there's leaders around here. Probably won't be able to answer your questions, but they'll try anyways. But listen, we love you guys. We're so glad you're here. And remember, wherever you are on the broken plate spectrum, you're in the right place. Jesus, I thank you so much for these youth. I thank you for the destinies that you have for each and every single one of them, and the uncalculable love that is available. And wow, I pray that they can experience that tonight. We pray in your precious name, Jesus. Amen.